Good Friday afternoon or evening, wherever you may be. Victor, how are you doing?
Still alive.
Still alive. On a Friday, that's good.
That's better than the alternative.
It is much better than the alternative. My name is Darren. This over here is Victor, and we're the co-host of a podcast called DevOps. 3, 2, 1. Wait. No, it's too far away. Anyway, we're the co-host of a podcast, good grief, called DevOps Paradox, and on Fridays we do this live show. Podcast comes out on Wednesdays at 6 a.m. Eastern. I don't know why my mouth is not working today. It's not even cold today. It's nice. Do you want to know how warm it is?
Is it below freezing point?
No.
Okay, then it's bearable.
It's 10 Celsius, so it's fine.
Okay.
It's nice. It's nice. Karen, good to see you. Thanks for being
Hey.
here. The news of the week. The news of the week. One small thing. We have to get into it. Victor won. Victor won. Yay. Thanks for everybody for voting.
Channel, not me, but yeah.
The channel. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what we'll talk about for a second. So Victor won for best video series. We did not win for podcast. Grafana Labs did. Congratulations to Grafana. And who won?
For what? Depends what the category you're thinking.
Evangelist. I think it was Dan Garfield.
Yeah.
Code Fresh. So congrats to Dan. So we just have to up our game a little bit more for next year. But we got one. First time we did it, we got 1 out of the 3. Very happy with this. So Maz, good to see you. Thanks, Ari, for the yay. We needed it. I'm trying a different mic today, so y'all can let me know if you like it better or worse than the normal. So the normal is just a normal shotgun mic. But today is, I just wanted to try something different. I'll tell you why. Victor has been, how do I put it?
I don't know.
Incessant about us doing a video podcast instead of just audio.
Yes. I have a monthly reminder to tell Darren to do it.
And I didn't want to do it with this mic because
Why not?
Well, so normally it's about, I guess for me, it's probably about that far, except it's above my head, right? So it's normally just out of frame.
Okay.
But if you were to take a look, so you can see this mic and you can see the big cutout, or at least you can see this big hole cut out right back here. That's where the capture is, right? So it's about the size of a U.S. quarter, or maybe just a little bit bigger. It's somewhere between a quarter and a 50-cent piece. Whereas this one is only that big, right? So it's the size of that. So it's not got as much capture. So there's not as much.
You sound fantastic on both, so I'm not sure I'm following what you're saying, but
it's just me. I think this will sound better. So I'm going to test it out this weekend and figure out what we want to do. When I edit this up for, by the way, we've been doing YouTube Shorts on Mondays and Tuesdays for this stream.
Yeah.
And you're still doing Shorts, right? Are you still doing Shorts, or did you drop it this week?
Not this week. I didn't have anything, but when something comes along, yes. So
we're trying to figure out if Shorts is a thing. So I'm going to keep doing Shorts I'll probably do it through March at least, and then I'll look back and see if it's worth doing. But anyway, different conversation. So anyway, I set this up today just to get ready for Victor, because we recorded 2 episodes this week, just me and you, which is going to be how we're going to do it. And I should have done this before now. I should have set it up to where we could have done those 2 this way, but I didn't think that far ahead. Doesn't matter. Let's get into the podcast this week. So we had on, too many screens. We had on Andy Pavlov from OtterTune talking about how they do database tuning in AWS. And it was very, very interesting. He's actually an adjunct professor at Carnegie Mellon University. In fact, they have a YouTube channel. If you're into databases at all, you need to go subscribe to that channel. I don't remember if I put the link to, nope, just his Twitter. I need to add that YouTube channel so you can see all the people they've had on. The guy's pretty much a genius. Pretty much, guy is a genius.
Yeah,
very interesting to talk to. Yeah. So If you haven't listened to this, please listen to it again. Let's see if I can get it right this time. The podcast comes out on Wednesdays at 6 a.m. Eastern. That's almost like ChatGPT, isn't it? By the way, I was writing YouTube titles today using OpenAI, not ChatGPT. Like I was going into the playground in OpenAI.
Okay.
Do you want to know how I was doing it? By the way, if anybody's wanting to come, you're trying to come up with a title for something, an email subject line, YouTube title.
ChatGPT?
No, well, you could use ChatGPT. But my starting phrase was write a title, write a YouTube title for, and then I put in the content. Do you know where I got the content from? The first page of documentation for the thing I was writing the video about. Or I found the paragraph. It's like, okay, this is a good synopsis. Splattered it in. Paid probably, I think I went through 5 or 10 iterations. I think I paid 10 cents or 15 cents.
Okay.
It was worth it. Yeah, I was like, that's fine. Because I canceled all of my AI subscriptions. So don't need them anymore. Because I'm just going to use OpenAI and be done with it. Okay, so let's get into the news. Komodor goes freemium.
Yay.
Now, I have to admit, I thought they already were. I thought they already had a free tier.
It was gray area in a way that you could have gotten it without really being official and things like that. So I've been using it for free, even though I should not have. Anyways, now it's officially free. Let's put it that way.
Okay. So if you are running Kubernetes, now you like it, right?
I like it. I think it's going to be in my Monday's video.
You think?
Not good. There will be like next Monday's video is going to feature some. Let me think, 30 different tools. No.
Wow.
50.
50?
Yeah.
50 different tools. Wow.
Yes.
Anyway. So now you can try out Komodor for free. Now the question is, let's click on pricing. Because I always like to look at anytime there's the free, it's like, okay, what is it really? Up to 50 nodes free forever. That's pretty darn large. That's big.
Pretty damn good, yes. I mean, 50 nodes, man. Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot. So this is also interesting to me. So $30 a node per month, up to 100 nodes billed annually. So does that mean I get my first 50 free? Or do I have to pay 3,000?
I don't know.
If I had 100,
I don't know. Part, yeah.
Another reason why you want to keep your
how much does
cluster
it cost
small,
to have
right?
51 nodes? Is that the question?
Right. Is it 1 or is it 51? Doesn't matter. SOC 2, audit? Yeah. That's actually a very reasonable free tier. I mean, all the big pieces are there. You don't have access to API. I think that's more than reasonable.
Fair enough. No audit, no SSO. That all sounds very, very reasonable, yes.
Yep. Retention up to 4 hours. Yep. Community support. No onboarding. That's interesting. You get early access to features. That's not highly abnormal, but it's also not normal.
Yeah, they tend to release quickly, not kind of like wait for a year until it is baked, really.
So you get 5 users, 50 nodes, up to 5 clusters. So I'm guessing if you had 5 clusters, that means you only get 10 nodes per cluster on average. I'm assuming it's not 5 clusters of 50.
Yeah, you're likely not going to have more than 5 clusters if you have 50 or less nodes.
Look, if you've got 5 clusters and a high number of nodes, you need to be paying. I'll just say it that way.
Exactly. Then it's business. It's not a hobby anymore.
Yeah.
Businesses earn money and businesses pay for services. Very easy.
Just in case you don't know, AWS is not free. There's free tiers,
Exactly.
but it's not free. Okay, so that's Komodor. Now, the other big thing, Victor sometimes sends me some items, but this one was the one of the week. Armo has now donated Kubescape, whatever, to CNCF. This is the first security tool going into CNCF, correct? Depending on how you define security?
I'm not sure. Maybe it depends on the definition. Now I would need to check what's in CNCF, but isn't Trivy in Trivy or whatever it's called?
I think it is. From Aqua, right?
No, it's not. Look at that.
Oh, it's not. Okay. I thought they had submitted it.
No, it's not. It's possible, yeah. I never really checked which security tools are in CNCF or no. Because, security is typically something that is not really popular among CNCF folks. That's something very clear area where you earn money, right? And companies are not contributing that heavily to CNCF.
Okay. So I've told you that I have to ask you a question so I get some good YouTube shorts. This is going to be one of those.
Okay. I'm not following, but yeah,
that's okay.
I'll answer it.
So
if I know what you're asking.
Well, and I think you will. So Kubescape has been donated to CNCF.
Yeah.
Why do companies want to donate projects to the CNCF?
The initial benefit is adoption, right? Sales go through adoption. The bigger the adoption, the easier it is to sell something. It's a very simple calculation, right? Excluding some SaaS services, I don't think that anybody can sell something today without first having adoption. And adoption goes through open source, mostly. Again, I'm excluding SaaS services, so software as a service, something as a service. So you need adoption, and for that you need open source. If you go to CNCF, your adoption skyrockets by default. So that will give Kubescape and other companies adoption, right? Later on, we might also be talking about contributions and others coming in to help you out, but that's already on a longer run, right? That doesn't happen that fast.
Okay, good. That was under 60 seconds, so we should be fine. Thank you. How many more? It's going to be an ongoing thing, but is this going to become the norm? Do you think people are going to be not necessarily rushing, but trying to quickly get their projects into the CNCF?
I mean, they already are. I mean, we are talking about 200 plus projects being in CNCF. That I haven't checked, but I wouldn't be surprised that that's a bigger number of projects than in any other foundation. I wouldn't be. I didn't check. I might be wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised that that's the biggest foundation in terms of number of projects, right? So it's not that will be happening. That is already happening, right? For a while now. Now it's scary, right? Because you're a company, you're investing money and time and a lot of things into a project, and then you say, and one thing is to say it's going to be open source, but I'm still somehow owning it, right? If you give it to a foundation, you don't own it anymore, right? You're equal to anybody else. I mean, you're not equal because you're contributing more than anybody else after it's there, most likely, but still, it's a scary thought for companies. Say, hey, I do not own this thing anymore. I just invested a couple of years of 20 people's lives, right? And it's not mine. That's tough.
And a lot of people, unless they've come from open source, don't always understand what that means.
But it's also kind of, it's scary, but not necessarily for a very good reason, because two things can happen when something goes to foundation. One is that you continue being the main contributor to that project, right? That's option number one. And doesn't matter that you don't own it legally, whomever is the main contributor continues being the main benefactor of that something, right? And continues shaping the roadmap, continues deciding which features will be added and so on and so forth, because almost everybody contributing to that project is you. The second option that might happen is that other companies and many other individuals jump and start actually putting effort into that project, which is when you truly, in practice, start losing control. But that's a good thing, right? Because that means that actually the adoption of your project is on a completely different level, right? You have different types of problems, but you definitely solve the adoption when others start churning in.
All we have to do is take a look at Kubernetes as one of the main ones.
Exactly. Now, who's the main beneficiary to Kubernetes? Is it really the company who open sourced it?
Nope.
Not necessarily. On the other hand, would Kubernetes be anywhere even? Would it be even a fraction if it didn't go to CNCF? Probably not.
Nope.
So
if you have an idea,
you kind of lose something that you probably wouldn't have in anyways.
right. So if you're wanting to create an open source project and get it to the CNCF, look around. There's lots of people to follow.
But it also becomes a question of competition, right? Because let's say that you're a company, you started a project, it's open source projects, etc., 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 and your competitors are also open source projects. I mean, enterprise software that has open source core or whatever it is, like majority, and those projects are in CNCF. Yours is not, right? Then the question is, do you have a choice? Right? Are you losing competitive advantage because people are adopting something else? Because that something else is in the foundation.
If it's on the landscape map, there's a good chance I'm going to look there first. Whatever the landscape is, whether it's CNCF, whether it's Apache, whether it's CDF, it doesn't matter. If it's on a list, it doesn't mean I won't look at yours if you're not on a list, but just because you've put a license in your project.
And there are some smaller perks, like you get a guaranteed talk in KubeCon, which kind of getting a talk in KubeCon is mission impossible. It's extremely hard. I'm not saying that you should donate something to CNCF only because you have 2 talks a year guaranteed, but it's a nice perk.
I did not know that was one of the deals.
Yeah, there's maintainer track. So all the projects in CNCF get to have a session at the maintainer track.
Maintainer track. I forgot about that.
Yeah. It's not going to be about your commercial offer, just to clarify. So it's not going to be sell.
Right. Ty, it's good. I'm glad you made it with us live today. That's cool. All right, so let's move on from Kubescape to, although not donated, we've had ground cover on. We had Shahar on quite a while back. And now Caretta is here as a standalone tool for mapping. Now, it's interesting how it works. By the way, I love the logo. I have to say.
Yeah.
Just cool. It takes me back to being like 3 and 4, right? That's a perfect turtle when you're 3 and 4 years old. So here's what happens is you have this thing running and it dumps it into Grafana via Prometheus. And then you have a visualization.
Nice.
And it's all via eBPF.
Really cool. It's one of the things I have on a very high on my to-do list.
Yep. I think it's, we heard from them because we've had them on the podcast before and I actually had seen it before they actually reached out to us. So it's, there's a good picture there of, hey, there's where everything is. Why would you not want to do this? Actually, that's a real question. Why would you not want to do this?
I mean, you definitely want to do that. The only question is that you still need more. You need to be able to visualize all the potential traffic between all the entities, resources in your cluster. You need to do that. But you also need to visualize, and I don't know whether Caretta does this or not, so I really don't know, but kind of real traffic. So the fact that this is connected to this and that, but actually traffic only goes to this, that's also something you want to know. But that comes later on, right? When you're debugging issues.
Right, so that's from ground cover, and all the links for everything we're looking at today will be down in the show notes later this evening. Are you ready to cry a little bit?
Cry.
Be polite. Well, actually, just be polite. That's all I'm asking. New version of Docker Desktop.
Nice.
The big answer is Docker extensions are now GA.
Nice. I mean, extensions is one of the most exciting part of Docker Desktop, to be honest. So I'm definitely going to be nice. I like the idea of extensions. I might not have been extremely happy with the initial version of the extensions themselves, not of the mechanism, but the idea is great. I mean, Docker Desktop becoming the hub for developer needs is great.
I was reading somewhere that Podman Desktop will run Docker Desktop extensions.
Oh, okay, I have no idea.
Yeah, it was just I just happened to it went through a feed this morning, and I was like, "What?" And then I lost it and forgot to dig it out again. It just hit me anyway. New version of Docker Desktop if you are using Docker Desktop.
Nice.
Okay. What is this? Oh, 2 things from GitHub. This one came out yesterday. I don't know about you, Victor, but how many Dependabot notifications do you get on repos?
0.
Oh, you have it all turned off? Or you
No,
just...
I'm getting renovate.
Oh, you're going to renovate. Okay, never mind. Okay, well, if you have Dependabot wired up on your repositories now, they are no longer going to be... So if a repo hasn't been touched in 90 days, Dependabot goes away automatically. That's nice.
Yeah, okay, nice. Yeah, exactly.
Here's the reason why. Think of a project that has thousands of repositories that I shall not name. Some of them have not been touched in years because they don't need to be maintained anymore. But every once in a while, here's an update. Dependabot gives you an update, and then all of a sudden, a build storm starts for something that will never get released.
Exactly.
So now, if it's been touched in 90 days, yeah, and there's a couple other things here as well that you can wire up. So that's the Dependabot one. Now this one just came out about an hour ago. There's new GitHub CLI extensions. Now we all know how much Victor loves working in the UI.
I mean, hey, GitHub CLI is probably the second most used CLI I have, or
I'm
third.
joking. I was joking.
Top
It's like
five.
I was telling everybody that you just live in the UI, not the CLI. That was a joke.
I mean, I do live in a UI.
As
I never
read-only.
go out of Visual Studio Code. That's UI, right?
Yeah, it is. Okay.
I
Anyway,
I don't use the terminal itself directly.
you use terminal inside. So basically, if you could buy a VS Code machine, you would just buy that.
Yes. If somebody would sell specialized VS Code machine / browser, yes.
Because once you're inside VS Code, you can do everything. Because of terminal.
I'm looking at my desktop right now. There is browser, there is Slack, and there is VS Code. That's what I have open.
I need to go a little bit further than that. I write too many aliases. Are you going to correct me on I shouldn't be writing aliases and I should be writing something else?
No. I mean, but what's the relation between not using VS Code and
I'm using... It's nothing other than having to restart the terminal. Never mind. Okay, let's get into this. So now you can actually find extensions. You couldn't search before. You can browse and search for extensions within. I mean, just think about all the things now. You can do it in the UI. Or
nice.
TUI in this case. Terminal UI. See, we are going back to the 80s. The 80s was the greatest decade that ever existed. And now the computers are going there as well.
Wait, is it 80s or 90s when we went all crazy with colors and silly clothes and horrible furniture?
That was 90s.
90s, okay.
Yeah. So as I'm saying, before that, it was the 80s. right? We had to have, that's when we first started moving from green screens to amber screens. VT100s, if anybody remembers the VT100s. So you can browse and you can also search. Okay, so that's these two. So if I'm looking for something, I can do whatever. And then they get into writing an extension. You have to do it in Go, but you can write your own extension. And they walk you through how to actually build it and do all the things.
Nice. I'm curious how it's deployed. Is it like kubectl? Because kubectl is kind of so brilliantly simple. The extensions over there are just binaries, and as long as they're in a path,
Right.
and they start with kubectl dash, they're extension. Any binary.
I don't know if it's done that way or not. It's like, okay, let's take a look at the getting started since we have a minute. So create an extension, give it a name called ask. What type? Bash, Ruby, Python, etc. Oh, Go. Wow, you can do lots of things. Okay, we'll say that. You create it, and off it goes. I'm guessing it's like kubectl, to where it's plug-in infrastructure. And once it's in, then the GH knows where to find it.
Nice. Very nice.
Well, let's take a look at the initial code here real quick, just because. Okay.
What's the language of the initial? Oh, Go.
Let's go. All right, so what are we doing here? So we get a print line. I understand that. We're getting a REST client because you have to call the API. We're getting the user that you're logged in as. You're running as that. Because this is basically who am I.
Yeah. So it's just kind of essentially something that you can write from scratch even easily, kind of as long as you import the Go GH library.
Yep.
Probably anything you output on screen is a fair game.
Yep. Okay. And then it talks about releasing it all too. So they have it all baked out. So what is going to be your first GitHub CLI extension?
I know what's going to be mine.
What?
Something that probably nobody else in the world needs. To delete a repo.
You can't delete a repository from
No.
the CLI today? Really?
No. By design. The people behind GitHub CLI thought that it's too dangerous of a function, risky and stuff like that. And let's face it, how many people frequently delete repositories now? I'm an idiot because I fork repositories and then delete them just to try something out. I don't like leaving trace of work in progress.
Right. Okay. So 2 things. You get search and browse, and now you can write your own. There you go. A couple of tools this week. First off was goread. It's a TUI for RSS reading. Now, if you don't know, I live in an RSS reader. That's where I get all of my news. Well, all of my tech news.
So are you type of person who would like to read RSS from? Is it a terminal, right?
Yeah. There's what it looks like.
Okay.
I mean, to me, is it beautiful? Okay, maybe not. Is it reasonable? Yeah. I mean, my RSS reader is fine, and I have it stripping away a lot of stuff anyway, so whatever. What would be interesting is if this tied into RunMe. Remember we talked about RunMe a few weeks ago, to where it takes the markdown and actually executes the markdown?
Yeah.
Wonder if this could be that smart. Anyway, this is called goread. And then the way you set it up, I should go ahead and show this too. It's just unfortunately a YAML file, but okay, it's a YAML file, and you set up your subscriptions.
What would you like? XML?
I don't know. No, I don't want XML. Anytime I see YAML, I think just because I use Hugo a lot, I'd either want to see TOML or what's the third one that Hugo uses? I can't remember. Anyway, it's not horrible. I mean, this makes sense for YAML. Structurally, it makes sense. So that's goread. All right. Ink, whatever. A modern and friendly alternative to GNU PG. Have you lost your key from GNU PG yet?
I don't know. I don't know what's GNU PG.
Okay,
Should I be
that's good.
embarrassed now?
Yes. Actually,
okay,
you should.
I'm embarrassed.
That's fine. You don't have to be. Anyway, this gives us the ability to encrypt passwords, encrypt and decrypt. And this is, so GNU PG is just like signing. It's like, GPG. GNU PG is GPG.
Okay.
You know what GPG is, right?
Oh, that far. Okay, so GNU PG and GPG is same thing.
Same thing. Same thing.
Okay. Don't confuse me, man.
I'm confusing myself right now. Anyway, this is a Go-based version of GPG. So if you want to try it out, might be a little bit cleaner. It gives you some. Anytime I can generate a key this way, I love it. Like something key generate. Nothing, no other crazy things, because you think about normally you put in, what's the cipher? Do I want to do 2048, 4096? Do I want to do all the other crazies?
Yeah, and then git add, git commit, git push, right?
Except for private key, but yes.
You know that I developed, I
You can do
got
that
burned
once.
so many times that I developed muscle memory that whenever I start a repo, the first thing I do is code git ignore, and I have like 10 files that I put
Yep.
there always.
Yep. It's exactly what I do. Okay, so that is Inc. Sveltos. You might like this one. Is this one on your list anywhere yet?
Yeah, my brain now froze. I know that I know Sveltos. I spoke with somebody from Sveltos, but now my brain froze when I forgot what it is.
So it's a tool.
Okay, it's Italian thingy. Yes, right.
I didn't dig to it that far.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
So anyway, if you're managing hundreds of clusters, Sveltos might be a tool for you. And I think there was a picture of it in the docs. Let me get to the...
It's from the guy that we had the session yesterday, right?
This came from Dario?
I think so.
Really? Okay.
I think so. I might be wrong though.
I'm not sure. Let's see, blogs and videos. Maybe this would tell us. List of articles. Don't think so. He may have mentioned it.
It's Italian name.
Well, it's GN. Boy,
Yeah, I'm
never gonna
probably
try that
freaking
one.
out. I'm probably wrong, so ignore me. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that is Sveltos. And if it's on your list, that's good. If it's not on your list, it should be now.
It is. That I don't know.
All right. Let me go back here. So, this is actually interesting. Martin, hi. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey.
Moz, I'm thinking about using Sigstore with SOP and Customize. It's not a bad idea.
No.
That would fit, right?
Yeah.
Seems really reasonable, actually.
It does. You
Doc2go. If you're writing Go code, which I'm not doing a lot of, but Victor is writing more than I am, it's a tool that generates static HTML documentation from your Go code. Are you paying attention now?
Yeah. No, you know what caught my attention? It says something better than PKG Go Dev, because that's the most horrible thing in the world. I hate it. When I search for something, and if I land there as a first result of Google, I immediately go back.
You move on. Yep.
Yeah.
So you can add front matter. This looks like Hugo, by the way. YAML, TOML, they don't have the third one. Configuring external links. Talk about that. Embedding if you're using Hugo. Oh, so you can mix this. You could swizzle this in with Hugo.
Yeah.
It's even better.
It probably generates Hugo files or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
it's got Hugo and Jekyll. So I'm guessing when it generates, it's following the standard.
Yeah.
Basically just some Go templates. Ish. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Go templates.
So Doc2go. And then this week you were talking about Jaeger. Now, I saw somebody today
So is
bashing
it Jaeger?
Jaeger.
Was I pronouncing Jaeger incorrectly? It's Jaeger, right?
I don't know how they...
Jaeger.
I pronounce it Jaeger. It could be Jaeger. I don't know, but I'm going to call it Jaeger. You can call it Jaeger.
I was probably thinking on a drink when I was pronouncing it. Jaeger, is it Jagermeister, right?
I don't know. I don't drink.
Okay, yeah.
I know that's alcohol, but I don't know that since I don't drink it, I don't know what the proper name is.
You think that only people who drink alcohol know how to pronounce alcohol? Is that what you're saying?
Sure, why not? That seems reasonable to me. I don't know. But I did see somebody bashing it today, saying it's old and busted, and not new hotness. What do you have to say to that?
Grafana tempo.
Okay, so you're saying they are correct.
That's what I have to say. No, it's great. Jaeger is great. It just tempo is better. That's what I want to say.
Okay.
I mean, the point I was trying to make in a video is that the really important decision you're going to make is if you're going to instrument your applications with traces and metrics and what's or not, do it in a way that you're not going to redo it if you change your mind. And that's where OpenTelemetry comes in. Now, whether you ship OpenTelemetry stuff into Jaeger and tomorrow you change your mind doesn't make much of a difference, right? Because you're still not changing the code of your application. You can easily switch Jaeger for Jaeger, for Tempo or Zipkin or whatever you want in the future without much effort. That's the important part.
Right. So, tracing, if you're not doing, okay, let's ask this question. If you're an application developer and you're not building in tracing today, why not? Why would you not use tracing today? That's not the right question.
Depends on the language. So some languages you can instrument tracing without really any effort, like JavaScript, I think, and Python and things like that. Now, in case of Go, it's a bit ignoring that there are some other projects, ignoring those projects. You might need to write more than in some other languages. So the question is whether you want to invest that time to instrument, and you should. That's the answer. You should.
Because you're doing it for your future self, right?
Because that's one of those things. That's one of those things that you need only when things go wrong, and it's too late for you to add them, right? And this is not only about tracing, right? The same thing like for logs. How many times did it happen to you to actually not see in logs what you want to see when things go wrong, right? And then you start wondering, I should have added this. But now it doesn't make a difference if I edit right now because I'm solving the issue, not really adding logs to my application.
Well, what happens when your metrics and logging and trace bill exceeds the cost of actually running your application?
No, so in case of metrics and traces, in a serious situation, you would not really push or pull all, right? It's not every time for every request you send X traces somewhere to Jaeger, right? If you do that, you're going to go bankrupt very, very soon, right? Or you're going to have a strategy to keep only a couple of hours or something like that. But even then, your network might suffer greatly, right? So you're sending either aggregated data or I don't know, every end, like 100 or 1 out of 100 or 1 out of 1,000 requests or something like that.
Just to get a sampling.
Because, let's say traces, right? If you have a system that has thousands of requests per second, and that's almost every system does, you really don't need all those thousands of requests. Even if you get 1 out of 100 requests, they're going to, on a large enough sample, they're going to be the real representation of the traffic, right?
I'll just have to agree with you. But the problem is I'm going to need some of that data that we just dropped on the floor. And
yeah, but you kind of, so especially bigger systems, it's not that you start panicking and you start receiving alarms because there was one faulty request, right? If anybody has alerts that say, hey, alert me whenever there is a faulty request, you are into a lot of suffering, right? You care when a significant number of requests are misbehaving, when the system is down and things like that, right? And then sampling every nth request is good enough.
Some people will disagree with you on that. I want 100% uptime, but I only have $100 a month budget.
I know. Let's say that you do create a perfect system that has 100% uptime. It's still not 100% from the user perspective. It's not 100% of requests are going to go from my laptop to your system and come back, even if your system is working perfectly. You're still not going to get 100%.
I'll use my OpenAI example that we talked about earlier. So I was testing out creating those titles. About every other request I would make would fail. Guess what? I still pay for that request even if it failed. That won't fly for very long, because if I have to pay for things that I didn't get an answer on other than it failed, that's not good.
I was listening to some podcast this morning, precisely that. I think that they had no idea how popular it will be.
Oh, yeah.
They're simply not ready for that volume.
Well, now that Microsoft's dumping in a lot more money, in the billions, they're running on Azure already, I believe. All their stuff's already on Azure. So,
man, this is the first time that it even passed through my brain the idea that somebody might actually rival Google in their own game.
Yeah.
I mean, we are so used to search giving us results to some websites, but effectively what you want with search is to get information. And if some future version of chat, whatever, GPT, whatever, gives me the information I need, why would I go through the links?
But you have to assume this. Okay, so I'm going to say this, and realizing what I'm getting ready to say is completely stupid.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guarantee that the content coming out of OpenAI is truth.
Correct. Just as there is no guarantee that the first link in the results of Google is what you want.
Correct.
But it gets better with time.
It does, but I don't know that anything coming out of OpenAI is going to be. I mean, it gets into writing code, right? So if the code is close enough, if it writes 95% of what I need and I just need to do the 5%, why would I not do that? Even if I'm paying pennies per request. I mean, if you think about it, it's like, hey, I need this. Go write this for me. There's no way I could write that in the amount of time it's going to write it for me. Right? So the initial part would have taken me multiple hours, and I'm not paid, pennies per minute. I'm paid a little bit more than pennies per minute. Not a lot. But I'm not being paid fractions of pennies per minute, which OpenAI is, or I'm paying. So can I be more efficient if it costs me a little bit money? Heck yes.
I do that. We talked about it the other day, I think, in one of the streams or something. I don't use ChatGPT, but I use Copilot. Probably same thing.
It's running on top of the DaVinci model. Yeah. It's using the same engine under the hood.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's indispensable. I use it for everything. Including writing descriptions for the videos.
I'm surprised that it's doing that, because it's not, the engine that it's using isn't tuned for that, but it's close enough for what you need, right?
I don't know what it does, but it just continues my sentences written in Markdown in a Git repository.
What else do you want?
So it's not kind of giving me the scope, the size that ChatGPT it's giving me. So it usually finishes one sentence. So
Which is
not
good
that
though, right? Because then you can look
Yeah.
at it and it's like, okay, yeah, I probably would have said that anyway.
Yeah. Kind of, we're getting into relationship, and then I kind of accept it or not, and then I start writing the second sentence, and it's very often figures, okay, so you want to continue in this direction, kind of. Okay. It's kind of how to complete 4 sentences instead of words.
If you'll notice, that's happening in Google Docs as well.
Yeah.
Not finishing sentences, but usually next word or maybe next phrase. But
Yep.
it's all there. Anyway, I think that's it because I need to get ready for another meeting. The joy, and you're done for the day, right? Ish.
You're a jokester,
Never
huh?
done. Yeah, I know. Okay.
No.
So next Friday, wait, look at your calendar real quick because I don't have it. Because I know you're out. Was it in January? There was a Friday that you were out in January.
You're asking too much, but I can check. I don't know.
Anyway,
I'm traveling next Friday.
you're traveling next Friday. So
Yes.
we will not be here next Friday because he's traveling.
Yes.
There
I mean,
is
it depends how open you want to put it. I don't know exactly when my flight is, and so I might be able to connect, but it's a risk.
Wait. You're flying next Friday, and you don't know what your time is.
I don't know because my girlfriend picked plane tickets and they're not in my calendar.
Not in your calendar yet. Okay, fair enough. And then the next Friday, I may be in jury duty. Don't know yet.
Okay. Oh, that's one of the. I would like to come to US as a tourist and attend jury duty. It sounds so exciting.
It's interesting. Exciting.
but not some petty crime. I want something kind of like.
Yeah, in the county I live in, that's pretty much all we are. A murder here
Not
and there,
somebody
but
stealing
not a lot.
cows from somebody else. I want kind of somebody robbed the bank.
No, that's
No?
that's pretty rare in the town I live in, or in the county I live in.
Oh,
Yeah.
you need to change the county.
No, I don't, because this is the second time I've been called for jury duty in this county in 15 years. So, no, it's fine. I'm fine with that. So we may be off for the next 2 weeks. So just be watching on Thursdays and watching on Twitter. So if you haven't subscribed on Twitter, you can look at DevOps Paradox. I will try to remember, since we know that we may be missing out, over in the Slack workspace, which is scrolling down below, in the hub channel. If we're not going to be here, I'll post there, because normally on Thursdays I will post, here's what's happening tomorrow. Now, next Thursday, do you have a live stream over on DevOps Toolkit? How should I say it? The best DevOps related video series channel at DevOps Toolkit.
I know that I did not get a guest, so either no or only you and me or only me.
Yeah.
No guest. That I know.
No
for
guest
sure.
next week. Okay. Let's check out a couple of things here. I think the people making assumption what ChatGPT is telling it's
Not
definitely
even
not.
close. Not even close.
Yeah, this is exactly what
But
we were
it's
just saying.
But hey, this is just the first release. This is kind of pre-alpha.
No. Yeah.
Hey, wait. Give it a couple of years.
Supposedly, GPT-4 is going to be, the training model is much larger. So remember,
And we're going to see many probably more specialized implementation of that. Hey, 5 years from now, if anybody goes to psychologist, we'll be talking to a machine.
that's already happening. That's already happening now with GPT-3.
There
which
we go.
is
There
weird.
we go.
Copilot's $10 a month. Do you remember what it is?
I don't know. I'm spoiled because among other things, I'm in that GitHub something program, and they give me
GitHub
everything
stars.
for free.
Your GitHub
Yeah,
stars.
I get free clouds, free GitHubs, free stuff. Which is, I mean, kind of like it sounds great, but that's kind of a way for people not to pay anything I do. So kind of like, it's not as good as it sounds.
I wonder if ChatGPT could be used to influence elections. I think it would be the same thing as Twitter influencing or Facebook influencing. It's just content.
Yes.
It's not ChatGPT, but the content generated. By the way, we've had this for years. Just not ChatGPT. But there has been ways to spin content for years. Years. So this isn't anything new. It's just better.
And I'm kind of less worried about things like ChatGPT, that you go there to search for something, to ask a question. To me, that's less, by definition, no matter the quality, less influential than information that is pushed to you.
Right.
Twitter, Facebook, they have the ability to, YouTube, for example, to push information. Kind of like, I did not ask for it, but I just found out that I should vote for this guy.
Right.
Without even asking for it, right? That's more dangerous to me.
Correct. Do you know this one? A Good Golang YouTube channel. Do you know anybody?
I don't know.
I don't. Because I still do more Java than I do anything else. By the way, I found a project today that's new to me, but it's been around since 2006. It was amazing. I'm going to do something with it. I just don't know what yet.
You're going to tell us next week?
No, because we're not going to be here next week, probably.
Okay. The bun after that.
It's because I don't remember the name of it right now. I've been working on it. Like I play with it some today, but now I just don't. I'm drawing it. It begins with, guess what? Open. I just don't remember what the rest of the word is.
Oh,
it's
then it must be good.
Yeah,
then
it's open something. All right. So just be watching in the Slack workspace and on Twitter for next week, and on LinkedIn too. We have a DevOps Paradox LinkedIn page, company page. I guess that's what it's called. I don't remember. We'll post on those whether we are here or not here sometime next Thursday. And then that's it. And then you're off to the races again. Are you? Is this when you're going to north? Is this your northern bound trip?
Yeah, it's Norway. Yeah, it's going.
You're going to
I'm
Norway,
going to be very unhappy.
I couldn't remember if that was at Christmas time or not. That's the reason why I was.
It's going to be cold, and I'm going to be very grumpy, and my girlfriend is going to leave me because I'm going to be unbearable. All those things.
Just pack some extra thermals, and you'll be fine.
And it's a country that is extremely expensive to drink, so I cannot even kind of like get drunk, and then I'm not
offset it that way. Okay, well. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here with us today. Again, watch all the channels. We'll let you know sometime next Thursday whether we'll be here next Friday or not. So if not, Victor will be cold and miserable and sober. So that's
that's a good combination.
Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon.